Hey. Um, hi. I wanted to say this now. Sorry, I'll just put that there. So, I guess I was like thinking about this today. Seems like an appropriate time to say it. I don't understand. I don't understand this. So, like everyone who is alive now, you have like these great opportunities to like do stuff and be great, but there's just like there's a huge world out there. And so Tobin Wigway went live today with Joe Budden, and obviously he always has his children, like on the lives with him. And I guess Joe Budden was like in some town in Mexico. He was saying this town is a really great town for the family, and to me, it gave off the impression that he was planning on moving to Mexico with his family. Now, I think this is a really good idea, and I think that it makes sense. Like, Tobin Wigway has made it very clear that he puts his family above really anything else. And he probably wants a very safe and nurturing environment for his children. Now, I think as much as Tobin Wigway is pro-black, I think he's at a point where he realizes he might not be able to get that. And like, there's really no communities in America that are like flourishing and primarily black. Like, there are black neighborhoods, but they're like living in destitution. And then there are white neighborhoods, which are affluent. And then there are like Asian communities, which are also affluent, but the black communities are not. So what we have are these like segments of like a few black people who have resources. Like, we'll just name the obvious ones, right? Like Kanye, Cardi B and the gang. You've got Beyonce and the gang, Puffy and the gang. Okay, so that's like a very small clump of blacks who have stuff, but everyone else doesn't. And it's not even like in a way where you're like, oh yeah, no, they just have like regular blue collar stuff. They don't even have blue collar stuff. Like, they don't have any stuff. Like, I can sit here and make these like YouTube videos every night because like I have an iPad and a laptop and two laptops, three cell phones, and Wi-Fi. But I just for a while I didn't make content because I realized how unrelatable my life and content would be for other black people. Like, they just don't live my life. They don't understand the context around why I say what I say when I say it. And the more and more I've like gone out to those Oakland bars, the more and more that's just become like super clear to me. And on one hand, it's kind of frustrating because it's like, oh man, I wish that there were more black people who were similar to me in some way, because then, people would be like upwardly mobile and society would be better. Then on another hand, it's like, yeah, but then generational trauma and poverty and just a lack of jobs and a lack of justice and all of these things. And like, who's gonna solve those issues? Who's gonna solve those issues? Like, I don't know. Somebody's gotta solve those issues. I don't think that person's gonna be me. But it also just becomes very strange because the more and more I like reflect on how this year actually went for me, it didn't really go well. And there's like no reason that it shouldn't have actually gone well. And I think the reason for this is because, and I said this before, like, all of my success, all of my things in come without regard to white people at all. Like, there's no white person who like put me on and is like, but like, oh, I did this for her. Like, all the shit that I have, I did it for myself. My parents did not put me on. I don't have what I have because like there's not really a path that you could follow to get to where I am. Most of it was just like grit. It was grit. Grit. It's just like trying, failing, trying again, trying, failing, trying again, trying, failing, trying again. Until one day you try and then you don't fail, and now you have it, then you just move on to the next thing because there's a long list of shit that I'm trying to get. And then the other part about that is like, and I've noticed this so many times in my life, when I try something and I succeed at it, and so then it could become this opportunity for like more people to succeed in that space. For some reason, the opportunity shuts down, the parameters change, the requirements now are like so much more than they were before. Like something changes so that like that opportunity is like no longer open to the public. Like that happens all the time, and it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, but also it's reality, because like this society is just not set up for black people to win, which is unfortunate and it's kind of sad, but I'm tired of talking about it. This is why, like last year I kept trying to post those photos of me just doing normal shit out in the community. It wasn't because I felt like I was like this welcomed member of society. Like I definitely don't feel like that, and I never have. But also I'm not dead, and I'm not like dying tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like here, I'm here now, and like I'm alive, and it's unfortunate that that's where the fucking bar is, but kind of that's where the bar is. The bar is extremely low. The bar is so low. The bar is so low. And that's so sad, because like we have been here for so long. And I'm just so tired of seeing black destitution in all its forms. Like, I am so tired. Exhausted. So, yeah, I mean, I'm never going to be that person who's preaching to you guys like, this person's suffering today, and this person's, like, that's just not going to be me. If you're going to catch me doing something, it's mostly just going to be like me, I don't know, like, having some experience, or like watching someone else have some experience, and like that's what it'll be. But it won't be me preaching about how someone's suffering, because if someone's suffering, to be honest, I don't want to see it, and I don't really want to know what's happening either, to be honest, right? Sorry, like I'd rather spend my time understanding who's not suffering, thinking about the people who are not suffering, because I don't want to be a person who suffers, therefore like I don't want to see it or like really know about it. I also, I continue to come back to this, but it's only because I relate in ways that probably are not very healthy. But I really wish people would start to, well, the Kanye West documentary came out today, which I started to watch a couple minutes of it, and then I had to stop. And the reason that I had to stop is the reason that I don't watch a lot of, media or content, or even listen to podcasts anymore, or, I'm even slowing down on YouTube. It's because I don't want other people's lives to influence my own. Like, I really do have my own life and my own lived experience. And that is, like, very particular to me. And I don't want to, like, compare it to anyone else's. I don't want, like, I don't care really what other people are doing. And I don't care about how other people feel about what I'm doing. What I care about is, like, myself. What I care about is me. What I have to worry about right now is me. And that's just it. It's not, it actually has nothing to do with like bad feelings toward anybody else, or trying to shit on anyone else. It's way more about this like acknowledgement that like I'm here right now, right? And I'm like really doing some shit for myself. Like I've got some stuff going on for me. That's about me. It's about how I, feel about some shit, stuff that I'm doing. And that's how it is right now. Like it just doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. Like other people's interests and perspectives just don't They just don't really matter, frankly. And that's just where I am. That's just where I am. Other people are somewhere else. Like, other people are having different experiences about, you know, what what they're experiencing. What's going on with them. I'm not them. I can't really speak to that. I don't know. I only speak to my own experiences. We have to be clear about that. And, 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 um, I actually started this recording with an idea that I was going to talk about relationships for a minute, and I'm just going to go back on that tangent. Because for some reason, I feel like the men in this society feel. Okay. Yeah, we'll keep going on that tangent for a second. So the men in this society feel like they have clustered all of the women and it makes sense to them. Where they can say, like, this woman is a slutty ruddy, this woman is a wifey pifey, this one is a hiker biker, whatever their like categorical reasonings are for the women, and we're the women, right? like we're all the same and we all fit neatly into some box. When I mean, the, like, this is 2022, bro. Like, this is not the 1970s. Like, every person on this earth is kind of hella different. Not even in a joking way. Like, everyone is so fucking different. Like, how could you put someone neatly into a box? And another thing that just is like very strange for me is the purity politics conversation that just continues to happen. And maybe it's not, maybe the proper word actually is not purity politics, but it's more about like pussy count. It's like there are some men who are like having sex, right? But a lot of men are not. Now, I think there's a small percentage of men who are just like literally trying to like save themselves from meaningful relationships, and so they're like withholding until they find the right person or get married or whatever. I think that is admirable, and I don't have any critique for that. I think that's like a very admirable way to live. I think you should continue living that way if that's how you feel. Most of the dudes out here, though, aren't like that. And so I think what they're doing is like they're sleeping with women, and there, I don't know another way to, I'm not going to cluster these women as like fat women or skinny women or put any racial group on it. They're all different types of women, because like men and women are out here having sex. You can be one of the people who's like, I'm not out here having sex, and that's great for you. But that's not what's happening in the rest of society or the world. It's like, people are out here right now and they are having sex. Okay, so that's a fact. And like, a lot of other people out here are wanting, specifically guys. Like, I don't think there's any girl who's out here who wants to get laid who's not. But guys, like, are out here wanting to get laid and they're not. They're not. And then they're critiquing and criticizing the sex that other people are having, which is like so fucking strange. It's like groups of dudes who like they don't even have access to some of the women that they're like talking about. That is so fucking strange. Like, who goes out here and is like, this girl that would never even talk to me is like, you know, not bothering me in life, but I have an opinion about her? Like, that's so strange. Like, that's like stalker level. And I stalk people, so like, I know. I'm just saying, like, that's weird. That's strange, and it's gotta stop. I'm talking into this charger like I'm talking into a mic. It's kind of funny. And also, let's go back for a second, because I do think that it's a real thing and there are just too many. Well, there's actually, I think, underpopulation right now in the United States. But then there's also just a rise in population of underrepresented minority groups which is like not really good because those groups are historically poor, and we're trying to create a society where people are not poor anymore, or just are less poor than they were. And so to do that, you gotta pull these people out of like destitution. So if a whole bunch of broke people keep having babies, this is like not really good for society. That's the point here. That is the point. Like, broke people having more and more children is not useful in society. Okay. And also, um, a lot of people are giving, weight and like meaning to pretty privilege in all its forms in the Kevin Samuels conversation. So Kevin Samuels recently, I guess he talked to Nicki Minaj and rated her, gave Nicki Minaj a 9 on the attractiveness scale. Now, to me, that wasn't surprising. Nicki Minaj is very pretty, but I can't describe to you the amount of dudes I've heard call Nicki Minaj ugly, and it just simply has to do with anti-blackness. They think because she's black that she's not like really attractive. Attractiveness is about facial symmetry, clarity of skin, and body size. And I don't know how long I've been saying that for, like fucking 10 years. You don't have to be Kevin Samuels to know that. Like, I think a lot of you guys are just really stuck on race and whatever that means. And I really feel like most of the people who are stuck on race in ways where they are trying to like say one racial group is more attractive than another racial group, typically those are the ugly people from that racial group. Like, I hear fat, ugly Latinos all the time saying anti-black shit. And it's not because, like, they don't actually know any, probably, like, they don't really know any, like, continental African people. Like, could you really go to Africa and then look at all those African people and be like, they are all so ugly? Like, that's how you feel when you go to Africa? It's like, that's just very strange. Like, that's a strange way to look. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you see that one person who maybe they have like a burn and then like half a face or something, you're like, oh yeah, maybe that person is not very attractive. But I see videos all the time of people just walking around in Africa, just doing shit. They be like going to the mall, eating their food, singing their songs, dancing and shit. And I really don't know. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody looks like a super... Well, there's a lot... Okay, I don't want to say that either. Because, yes, a lot of people actually do look like supermodels if you are around Africa specifically. Some of it is because of the poverty, and they just, like, have really great bone structure and really great skin. It's like, damn, wow. Yeah, everyone could probably be on a magazine. That's not the point, though. Yeah, like... If I walk around Latin America, because like I'm not a Latino person, I'd be like, wow, all these people look different. They all have a very similar thing going on. But that's another thing too that I've had to realize for myself. Like, there are white Spaniards who kind of started whatever is known as Latino. So they're like those white Latinos. But the people who you see on all those documentaries about like Venezuela and like Mexico, those aren't them. Like, they're not the people who are stuck in destitution, who are fighting and throwing their children into the street. So those aren't even the people that the Latino people are considering Latino. They are the white Spaniards. They're just white people who speak Spanish, and kind of like, maybe like Enrique Iglesias might be a good example here. Kind of Rosalia, but she seems a little bit urban. Even, I don't think Shakira, kind of Shakira, but even she's a little bit too colored. Like white Latinos. Like, even, okay, so this is a good example too. Like J-Lo or like Shakira, that's another example. Or like Maluma. Those are the colored Latinos. They're called mulattoes. Those are mulattoes. The Puerto Ricans, the Malumas, they are all mulattoes. Those are called mixed race people. You see how they have like the same skin kind of complexion. Maybe Maluma's like lighter than me, but like they are just brown people who like have in their ancestry some form of like white Latino. It doesn't really have much to do though with like everyone else. It's just like all of the, because like yeah, so all the shit that you see that's like happening that's kind of like wrong in Latin America is happening to the mulattoes there. But again, those people are not African and those people are not black. So I don't even relate to whatever problems that they're having because those aren't my people. But don't get me wrong, again, because there are black people in some parts of Latin America, like Brazil. Large population of black people in like Bahia, really all the other parts. And those people are alive and those people are like, you know, they're very, very, very poor, but they are alive nonetheless. Um, and that is a thing. And that is like, I don't know how else to explain. That's an experience, and it's like a lot of it is sad. But to be honest, I don't know. I think that Latin America is gonna have to go through its own racial reckoning. But I just don't think that has anything to do with the rest of the world, right? Like Africa is a continent. If the black people in Brazil feel the need to reclaim their blackness, I think they should probably leave Latin America and go to Africa. Because there's black people in Africa, so don't get me wrong, because there's like colorism in Africa too, and probably like a lot of classism, and they don't have like skills and shit to do things. So I don't know exactly how they like, I don't know how they would survive, but the world is just political and it's complicated. And I don't know. I feel like I'm just one person and I see a lot of the problems in the world, but I don't really see solutions to them. All I see are like opportunities for war. I see like so many opportunities for civil war. And I think that's where we're headed in America for sure. Like civil war is on the brink. Like absolutely for sure. There's going to be another civil war in America, but I feel like this time the 9.9% of people are just like they're never going to leave their apartments, and by the time the civil war happens, probably everyone would have left the country. Because it's like very easy to leave America. Like it's just not difficult. And all the technology companies can be operated from abroad. So you don't like need to be here to do the job. So there's that. And there's like a whole other part, which is kind of like, so then who operates like what do the other people do? That is kind of the bigger question. Like, what do the other people do? Because, like, they don't really have a place in mainstream society now. And they probably won't in the future either. But they have hella children. And they're expected to, like, live. What do those people do? That's, like, the question. I don't have an answer to the question, but that is the question.